It's not easy to let go. In fact, for most of us, it's one of the hardest things we'll ever learn. We hold on, not just to people, but to moments, to failures, to old versions of ourselves, and to expectations of how life should have turned out. We grip so tightly to what we think we need that we forget the truth. Life is always moving, always changing, and always asking us to loosen our hands. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself rehearsing an old conversation in your mind? The words someone said to you years ago, words that cut deep, words you can't seem to shake. The moment is long gone, the person may not even be in your life anymore, and yet their voice echoes inside you, like a shadow that refuses to leave. That's the weight we carry, not because reality is still hurting us, but because we refuse to put it down. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. In this, you have the power to revoke at any moment." He reminds us that suffering doesn't come only from events. It comes from our perception, our attachment, our refusal to release the grip. The wound may be real, but it's our constant reopening of it that keeps it alive. Consider the plans you made that didn't work out, the career that didn't take off, the love that ended too soon, the dream that felt so close, only to collapse before your eyes. Instead of mourning the past and moving forward, we often clutch it like a broken relic, believing that by holding on, we can somehow fix it, somehow rewind time. But all it does is weigh us down, slowing our steps, filling our hearts with resentment instead of renewal. And what about control? How much of your life have you spent trying to manage the choices of others? Friends, family, even strangers online? We want people to behave the way we think they should, to love us the way we imagine, to live according to our rules. But every time they don't, frustration rises, anger grows, and disappointment poisons the moment. Why? Because we cling to the illusion of control, when in truth, it was never ours to begin with. The irony is clear. The more we hold, the less we have. The tighter we grip, the quicker things slip away. Imagine holding water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it leaks through your fingers. Life works the same way. By trying to trap it, we lose it. By learning to let go, we discover its flow. Now pause and ask yourself honestly, how much of your current suffering is not about what's happening right now, but about what you refuse to let go of? A person, a memory, a regret, a vision of how life was supposed to be. We carry these weights silently every day, like invisible stones in a backpack. And with each step, the load grows heavier. No wonder we feel exhausted. No wonder peace feels out of reach. But here's the paradox Marcus points us to. Letting go is not about losing. It's about creating space. By setting something down, you're not becoming empty. You're making room for what is real, for what is present, for what is possible. Peace doesn't come from clinging. It comes from release. Letting go does not mean you stop loving. You can let go of someone and still honor the love you once shared. Letting go does not mean you deny your past. You can accept it, learn from it, and still move forward without being chained to it. Letting go does not mean you are weak. In fact, it takes more strength to open your hand than to keep your fist clenched. Marcus lived in a world of war, betrayal, and constant uncertainty. As emperor, he could not control the tides of fate, the ambitions of rivals, or even the deaths of those closest to him. Yet in his private writings, he returns to one truth again and again. The only thing we can ever control is how we respond. Everything else, people, events, fortune, is beyond our grasp. And so he writes to himself, not as a ruler, but as a human being. Release what you cannot control, and peace will follow. Think of your own life right now. Imagine all the things you're gripping, the resentment towards someone who wronged you, the shame of a mistake you made years ago, The expectation that life should look a certain way by now. The fear of what happens if you stop controlling every detail. Now imagine what it would feel like if just for a moment you set them down. If you stopped rehearsing that old hurt. If you stopped carrying the guilt like a chain. If you stopped demanding the world bend to your plan. What would remain? Lightness, freedom, space to breathe. This is why Marcus Aurelius' words still resonate today. Because the weight we carry is often chosen, not chosen consciously, but chosen nonetheless. And the invitation he gives us is this: choose differently, choose release, choose peace. Letting go is not a single act, it's a practice. Some days you'll set the weight down, and hours later you'll pick it back up again. That's okay. Every time you release, even briefly, you train your mind to understand that peace is possible. Over time, your grip weakens, the memory fades, the burden lifts, and what once felt impossible, living free of that weight, becomes natural. So the question is not, why is life so heavy? The question is, why do we insist on carrying what life already asked us to put down? Take a deep breath, look at the things weighing you down right now, and dare to ask yourself, what if I let this go? Not to lose, but to live. When people first hear the phrase, let go, many misunderstand it. They imagine it means apathy. They think it means giving up, becoming passive, or turning away from responsibility. But true letting go is nothing of the sort. Letting go is not abandoning life. It's choosing to live it more fully without being crushed by what you cannot control. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. How much of your pain comes from trying to force life to obey your will? You wanted someone to stay, but they left. You wanted a job to work out, but it ended. You wanted your body to remain youthful, but it changed. The struggle was never just with reality. It was with your refusal to release the fight. Letting go does not mean you no longer care. It means you stop exhausting yourself over what cannot be changed. It means you allow space for acceptance, and in that acceptance, you discover freedom. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully when he reminded himself, you cannot stop change. You cannot freeze time. You cannot own what was never truly yours. But you can choose your response. You can choose to open your hands instead of clenching your fists. Imagine that fist for a moment, tightly closed, knuckles white, gripping with everything you have. In that position, nothing can enter. You can't receive anything new while you're still holding on to the old. And yet, this is how many of us live, gripping tightly to memories, to control, to outcomes we demanded. We think this grasp will save us, but in reality, it only exhausts us. Now picture an open hand, palm up, relaxed, empty, yes, but also free. That open hand is ready to receive, ready to welcome what is real, what is present, what life is offering now. That's the paradox. Emptiness creates fullness. Letting go, then, is not weakness. It is the courage to trust life as it unfolds. It is the wisdom to know that clinging does not guarantee safety, it guarantees suffering. Think about your own life. How often do you resist change, even when change is inevitable? A child grows up, a season ends, a relationship shifts. Time marches forward whether we want it to or not, and yet we fight against it, as though sheer resistance could bend time backward. But Marcus reminds us, you cannot stop change. Fighting it only multiplies your pain. Letting go is also about realizing ownership is often an illusion. We say my job, my partner, my house, my body, but none of these things are permanent possessions. They are borrowed from time, entrusted to us for a while, and eventually they return to the flow of life. When we accept this, gratitude grows. We stop demanding permanence and start appreciating presence. Think about water in your hand. If you try to trap it, it escapes between your fingers. But if you cup your hand gently, water can rest there for a while. This is how we must learn to hold the people and experiences in our lives. Gently, not forcefully. Appreciating them while they are here. Releasing them gracefully when they must go. But here's where the irony lies. The very moment you stop demanding life to look exactly as you want, life begins to surprise you with more than you imagine. When you loosen your grip on one dream, another often takes its place. When you stop forcing one door to open, you notice another door was waiting all along. This is why letting go is not about loss. It's about exchange. You're not throwing life away. You're making room for what's next. Let me give you a modern example. Imagine someone who stays in a toxic relationship year after year, terrified of being alone. They cling, believing that letting go would mean emptiness. But what happens when they finally release that grip? Yes, there is pain at first. Yes, there is loneliness. But slowly, new relationships, healthier ones, begin to appear. The very act of letting go created the space for love to re-enter their life. Or think about a career. Maybe you've worked in a job that drains you, but you stay because it feels safe, because you fear the unknown. You grip that job with a clenched fist. But if life forces you to release it, or if you find the courage to leave, suddenly new opportunities arrive, paths you couldn't even see before. The letting go wasn't an end. It was a beginning. Marcus understood this deeply because his own life was full of impermanence. He lost children, he lost friends, he faced betrayal and war. He could not hold on to health, to people, to stability. And so he wrote, not just as an emperor, but as a man learning to breathe with open hands. Accept what comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs? So what does letting go really mean in your daily life? It means when someone insults you, you don't carry their words in your chest for weeks. You let them go. It means when life doesn't match your perfect plan, you stop forcing it to bend. You let it flow. It means when the past calls, you recognize it has nothing new to say. You let it rest. It means when fear arises, you don't wrestle it into silence. You let it pass like a cloud across the sky. Letting go doesn't make you careless. It makes you clear. You still care about your relationships, your dreams, your growth, but you stop suffocating them with control. You give them space to breathe, to become what they are meant to be. In a way, letting go is a deep form of love. Love for yourself because you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Love for others because you allow them to walk their own path without trying to chain them to yours. And love for life itself because you trust its rhythm instead of fighting against it. So ask yourself now, what are you gripping so tightly that it has left no room for peace? What are you refusing to release because you believe it defines you, or keeps you safe, or guarantees happiness? And more importantly, what could enter your life if you dared to open your hand? Perhaps the truth is this: letting go is not the end of something. It is the beginning of everything. When Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations nearly 2,000 years ago, he could not have imagined a world of smartphones, social media, and constant connection. Yet his wisdom fits our age almost perfectly because human nature has not changed. We still cling, we still chase, we still struggle to let go. Think about modern life. You post something online, maybe a picture or a thought, and then you wait. You check your phone again and again, hoping for likes, comments, and recognition. When they do not come, you feel empty, as if your worth disappeared into silence. But is it really the lack of likes that hurts you, or is it the attachment to what you expected? The truth is, the pain is not caused by reality itself, but by your insistence that reality must look a certain way. You gave away your peace by clinging to something outside your control. Now picture a relationship. Deep down, you know it no longer nurtures you. It has turned into something draining, one-sided, or misaligned with who you are becoming. Yet you hold on, not out of love, but out of fear. Fear of emptiness. Fear of being alone. Fear of regret. But what if the emptiness you fear is not really emptiness at all? What if it is the very space you need for growth? The world around you has been showing this lesson since the beginning of time. Look at the seasons. When autumn comes, the trees shed their leaves. They do not resist, they do not panic, and they do not try to glue the leaves back on. They release them easily, as if they already know that this loss is not the end, but the beginning of renewal. Without the letting go of autumn, there can be no spring. The trees teach us that release is not death. It is preparation for new life. So too must we release the people who no longer walk beside us, the expectations that never match reality, and the illusions of control that tire us out every day. Marcus would remind us that clinging to what is not ours multiplies our suffering. He would say that change, loss, and uncertainty are not punishments, but natural parts of existence. The gift of letting go, then, is not emptiness, but freedom. Look again at your daily life. How much of your anxiety comes from needing recognition online? How much comes from forcing people to stay in roles they no longer fit? How much comes from demanding that life follow a script it never promised to follow? You may think letting go is weakness, but in reality, it is strength. Because to let go is to stop fighting reality and start walking with it. Social media is a clear example. The likes, the shares, the praise, all of these are externals. They are not truly yours because you cannot control them. If your happiness rises and falls with those numbers, your peace will always be fragile. Next time you share something, pause and ask yourself, would this still matter to me if nobody noticed? If the answer is no, then maybe you are not sharing truth, but begging for validation. Letting go in this context means taking your power back. It means remembering that your worth has nothing to do with a counter on a screen. Think of relationships again. To let go of someone you once loved can feel like tearing out a part of your soul, but holding on to the wrong people keeps you from meeting the right ones. Marcus would say, to love without illusion. Do not try to own another person. Do not demand that they remain the same forever. Everyone is walking their own path. Sometimes the kindest act is to release them, not in bitterness, but in gratitude for the time you shared. Like autumn leaves, their season has ended. Let them fall and trust that new seasons will bring new life. The same is true of expectations. We suffer when we expect life to follow a fixed plan. You may have thought your career would look a certain way by a certain age, or that friendships would last forever, or that success would arrive on your schedule. When it does not, you feel betrayed. But betrayed by who? Reality never promised you these things. It was your script that demanded them. Marcus wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. When you stop demanding that the world obey your plan, you free yourself to respond wisely to what is. Even control itself is an illusion. Our age is obsessed with control. We track every step, every calorie, every hour, believing that if we plan hard enough, nothing unexpected can happen. But the unexpected always arrives. Illness, betrayal, accidents, global events. Life has never been something we can hold in our fist. Letting go here does not mean refusing to plan. It means releasing the belief that control guarantees certainty. You do what is in your power and then surrender the rest. You act with care, but you also accept the truth that not everything belongs to you. And when life does take something from you, do not fear the emptiness that follows. That emptiness is not a void, it is a space. Think of a garden. If you never clear out weeds, new flowers cannot grow. If you never empty a glass, it cannot be refilled. If you never release old dreams, new ones cannot be born. The emptiness you fear is not destruction. It is possibility. This is why Marcus Aurelius's words still matter today. Every time you feel anxious while scrolling through social media, every time you feel trapped in a draining relationship, every time you feel bitter that life has not followed your plan, pause. Ask yourself, what am I clinging to that is not mine to hold? The pain you feel often comes not from reality, but from the refusal to let reality be what it is. The Stoic way is not about becoming cold or detached. It is about clarity. It is remembering what belongs to you and what does not. Your choices, your character, your response, these belong to you. Everything else, no matter how precious, is borrowed. And when life asks for it back, the wise thing is to release it without hatred, without panic, and without regret. So ask yourself, what am I carrying today that is already asking to be released? Which expectations am I forcing against reality? Which illusions of control are robbing me of peace? And most importantly, what new life could enter if I simply open my hand? Look again at the seasons. Look again at the trees. They do not resist what must pass. They let go, and in letting go, they are renewed. You too can live this way. Let go, not in despair, but in trust. Because freedom is never in the clenched fist. Freedom is always in the open hand. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome, the most powerful man of his time. Yet when he wrote his Meditations, he did not write as a king issuing commands to the world. He wrote as a man reminding himself of what he could and could not control. His words echo across the centuries. Receive without pride, let go without attachment. This is not only a reminder of humility, but also a profound key to freedom. The Stoic paradox is simple but difficult to live. The more you release, the more you receive. It sounds almost backward. We grow up believing that to have more, we must hold on tightly, guard what is ours, and never let go. But life, as Marcus observed, works differently. When you let go of controlling others, you receive peace in your own heart. When you let go of the fear of losing what you love, you receive the freedom to love more deeply. And when you let go of clinging to the past, you receive the greatest gift of all, the gift of the present moment. Think about how much energy we spend trying to control people. Parents try to control children, partners try to control one another, leaders try to control their followers, and even friends sometimes cling too tightly. This control is almost always disguised as care. I only want what's best for you, we say. But underneath, there is often fear. Fear that if others choose differently, we will lose our comfort, our identity, or our sense of stability. Marcus would remind us that every person has their own path, just as you do. You cannot walk it for them, no matter how much you wish to. And when you try, you don't gain peace, you lose it. The moment you release this illusion of control, you gain something greater, the peace of focusing only on what is yours, your choices, your actions, your character. That peace is not small, it is freedom. Now think of love. So often our love is shadowed by fear. Fear of loss, fear that the person we care for might leave us, change, or even die. This fear pushes us to hold on tighter, to cling as if love were a chain rather than a gift. But what happens when you release the fear of loss? Suddenly, love becomes lighter. You can love more deeply because you are no longer loving to own. You are loving to experience. You realize that nothing in life is guaranteed, not even the people closest to your heart. And instead of letting this truth terrify you, it sets you free. Because when you accept impermanence, you stop wasting time on control and begin cherishing the moment you have. The embrace is warmer when you know it can't last forever. And then there is the past. How much of our suffering is tied not to what is happening now, but to what happened long ago. A word spoken years earlier, a failure that haunts you, a memory you keep replaying as if clinging to it will change its outcome. But the past cannot be changed. It can only be accepted or carried like a stone. Marcus's wisdom whispers that the weight you carry is not the past itself, but your refusal to set it down. When you release your grip, the past becomes not a prison, but a teacher. And in that release, you finally receive what was always available, the present moment, unfiltered and alive. Look at modern life, and you'll see how urgent this teaching is. We live in a time of constant attachment. Every notification, every message, every update demands our attention. We are tied to the future, what will happen, who will respond, what success will arrive, and tied to the past, what we missed, what we regret, what others still owe us. Rarely are we simply here, but here is where life happens. The irony is that our endless pursuit of control robs us of the very thing we are chasing, the ability to live. So take a breath. Right now, wherever you are. For just a moment, unclench your hand. Imagine all the things you are holding, fears, regrets, grudges, expectations, desires, and imagine releasing them, even for a second. What is left? Not emptiness, presence, space, breath, life. Marcus was not naive. He knew the pain of loss, of betrayal, of death. He buried children, fought wars, and lived in constant uncertainty. Yet his words remain clear. Receive without pride, let go without attachment. To receive without pride means to accept gifts, opportunities, and successes, not as if you own them, but as if they were lent to you by fortune. To let go without attachment means to release them when they pass, without bitterness or despair. Everything you have is borrowed. The people you love, the body you inhabit, the moments you experience. Nothing is truly owned. But if you can live with this truth, you can also live with extraordinary gratitude. Because instead of clinging, you learn to receive fully while it is here. This is the freedom Marcus points us toward. Freedom from the chains of control, from the shadows of fear, from the ghosts of the past. Freedom not to escape life, but to finally enter it as it is. It is the freedom to receive without greed, to love without chains, to live without clinging. So ask yourself, what am I gripping so tightly that I no longer see what is in front of me? Is it an old hurt I cannot release? Is it a fear that keeps me from opening my heart? Is it a plan that has already failed, but I still refuse to abandon? Whatever it is, notice the toll it takes. Notice how heavy it feels. Notice how it blinds you to what is already in your hand. And then, even just for a breath, let it go. Not to lose, to live. The more you release, the more space you create. And in that space, life enters again, quietly, freely, abundantly. So take another breath, open your hand, let go, and receive.